some days I feel like nothing's wrong at all, and then I'll be driving and reality hits and it's like, holy crap, like what is happening right now?
And I don't know, someone that has made the most of her life and her heart than her, like with a body that essentially is failing her.
Now the journey that she's on, it terrifies me because we do have a small family and it's a lot. I don't know, it's just me, mum, dad and Cara, and if something happens.
When I get people, when they ask me, oh, are you scared? I'm like, yeah, of course, but I'm not gonna let that feeling to overtake and think of the bad stuff. So how I deal with it, I just thinking of the positive outcome.
When Cara was sharing with me her mum's experience, like having this beautiful newborn baby and recognising pretty early on that there was something not right with her, and recently becoming a mother myself, I was just like, broke my heart to think about what I would have done if I was told, like, take your daughter home and make the most of your experience with her because it's not going to be very long. Like,
she was probably just shaking on the inside or rocking in a corner somewhere, but she just never showed it, and I was never wrapped in cotton wool. So I think, although I think during this journey I've sometimes questioned, like, why didn't anybody tell me like how unique or how complex or the severity, but in a way I'm kind of glad I didn't know, because ignorance is bliss, and I lived a pretty normal life. I played every sport, I came last, but I still tried, then she let me jet off overseas. I worked in summer camps. Like the first summer camp I worked in was 6 months after my 4th heart surgery, up in the Rocky Mountains, so high altitudes, and she just and I've asked her, and she said, well, if you weren't going to be here for a long time, we weren't going to stop you from doing anything. So I feel like I'm glad that they did that, because I probably would know, I don't even know if I'd still be here today if if they didn't raise me like that.
She's literally a modern day warrioress, honestly. Like, I feel blessed that my daughter has a role model like her. For all that she's been through with such grace and courage, and I honestly couldn't speak more highly of her. She's amazing.
Very suitable for transplant, but noted that you're quite sensitized. Yeah, we need to work hard to try and bring the antibodies. Because of your previous operations, you would have received some blood transfusions.
Yeah. I feel like with every appointment there's a bit of reality, even more reality sets in. For example, today, the way I took it was when he was mentioning the desensitization, it was like, well, there's that and one other option, and then that's all they can do to try and broaden my chances of receiving a heart. Living in a place like Coffs Harbour, or on the Coffs Coast, we've been a bit blessed because it hasn't been as intense as living in somewhere like Sydney or Melbourne with the lockdowns. But I mean, with aspect to my transplant journey, it was very different, I feel, compared to the normal transplant journey, because my first appointment, all my appointments were via Zoom or telephone. So I actually physically didn't meet anybody from the heart-lung clinic or the transplant team until last month, after I'd already been listed, and I started my workup in July. Because we're all going to Mum's anyway. So
it's a one day at a time thing. I think if I felt everything at once, I would be a mess, but I just, until we know more, I just kind of have to deal with it that way.
About my 3rd year into living in Whistler, I went to a party and met a man. And yeah, so we met in Whistler and we've sort of been inseparable ever since. He's my partner and, you know, he's like my best friend, so I don't know what I would do without him. If I can share my story by helping people understand, because that's been the one good thing about social media, I guess, because growing up, obviously being born in the 80s, I had never met anyone with a congenital heart disease outside of like friends that we'd met through the hospital. And until social media came about, like, yeah, I'd never met anyone, and now like I've connected with so many people worldwide, young and old. For $11. I've just tried to focus on, until I get the call, just trying to live like as normal as possible and just try to accept that when I have a bad day, it's just a bad day, like not get too overwhelmed in it.